Hi everybody, and welcome to part 2 of our follow-up to History 109. In class we went through step 3, which went through several key resources. Remember, Google Books Full View is a great feature. But I'm going to skip over that because I think you can follow along from your notes. In today's lecture, I want to go through setting up a citation management system, or Zotero. And feel free to pause as you proceed through this. So to install it, we go to zotero.org. Here you see it. Zotero, a free, easy-to-use tool to help you collect, organize, cite, and share your research sources. I'm going to click Download Now, big red button, and I have the option of Zotero for Firefox or Zotero Standalone. I'm going to focus on Zotero for Firefox here, but Zotero Standalone is also very easy to set up. So let's begin. I click this big red button, and it says Firefox prevented this site from asking you to install software on your computer. Always good to read that, think about it carefully, but I trust Zotero, I see the lock, I think it all looks kosher, I'm going to say allow. It takes a few seconds to install it. It asks me again, install add-ons only from authors whom you trust, I trust, and then I restart Firefox. Great, it works. Now I'm here, I want to install a plugin for my word processor. So I click on Install Word Processor plugin. I scroll down to find the platform and the software I'm using. So I'm using Microsoft Word on a Mac. You might be using Microsoft Word on Windows, or LibreOffice on a Linux machine or Windows or a Mac. Click on what you use and install the plugin. So here it says I'm using a Mac. I click on Word for Mac plugin. Again, it asks me. And I restart yet again. Okay, now we're set up, so let's find out how this works. So let's first of all add a book. So continuing with our alcohol theme from the first lesson, let's use Professor Roberts' book, In Mixed Company, Taverns and Public Life in Upper Canada. We find multiple copies. This one looks great. The reason I'm using Amazon is not to endorse their business model, but it's to say that Amazon collects very good information about the products it sells. It makes a lot of money, it has a great database, and so it has fantastic metadata, or information about information, that we can use to populate our database. So say we're citing a book, we want to cite Professor Roberts' book. When we navigate to this page, we now see a little book icon. That book lets us add it to our Zotero database. So we're doing an essay, we use Professor Roberts' book, we know we want to cite it or remember that we're going to use it, and so we click this book. It says saving to my library, In Mixed Company, Taverns and Public Life in Upper Canada. Now this holds true in everything, any sort of book repository. So say we're just searching for Professor Roberts' book, we can use our WorldCat icon from the last lesson. We can click on it, and again we see that we can add the book here as well. And that will hold true for almost any library website you go to. It also holds true for journal articles. In class I showed you how you could grab even the full text of a PDF. I'm working from home right now and I'm not currently logged in, but I'll show you how we can grab great metadata as well. So let's look up labor history. And we see an article here, Labor History and International Movement. We're doing a research paper, looks great. I click on it. If I was at the University of Waterloo, or if I'm working at home, I would log in through my proxy. But in this case, in either way, we can still grab the information for Zotero. And we now have this. Looks like a piece of paper. Click on it, and it adds it to the database, but it doesn't get the full text because we're not logged into JSTOR. But this is a really good start. So now let's switch over to Word. If you're on Windows, it depends on the version you're working with. You might have a little set of new icons here on Windows, and you'll have to hold your mouse over it to see what it means. Or you might have another tab with extensions or plugins up here. But this is what it's going to look like on Mac. So let's start writing our essay. Taverns played a large role in public life in Upper Canada. Okay, Now we want to cite Professor Roberts' book, so we click on our footnote or we add our footnote however we normally do, and now we use the special menu up at the top. And it looks like a little curly Q. It adds Zotero, and now I can say add citation. I say the kind of citation I want to use. In this case, I want to use full note. And this little pop-up appears. So now I type in Roberts. I find the book I want to cite. Enter, enter. And we have a Chicago-style citation. We can add the page number if we wanted to. And we could say labor historians disagree. They don't actually, but we're writing a fake essay for a Zotero tutorial, so bear with me. I add another footnote. I click the Zotero menu up at the top. I add another citation. And here I type in labor history. There we are, labor history and international movement, the one we just added from the JSTOR. Enter, enter, and we have a great citation there. And if we continue to cite, you'll notice that it starts generating things properly. So if we cite the same thing again, we get an IBID. And if we cite something we've already cited before, we get a short form citation too. And when it comes to the end of your paper, we want to generate the dreaded bibliography. We go up to the menu. Again, on Mac, it looks like a little scroll. The screen recording isn't getting the actual scroll icon. And if you're on Windows, in class, some of you, I showed you how to get it. We click on it, and we just say, add bibliography. And we have a perfect bibliography. It's always good to go clean stuff up. Sometimes there are errors and that sort of thing that creep in. But overall, it's a fantastic resource. And if you start collecting your material now, it's going to serve you in good stead for the rest of your career here at the University of Waterloo and beyond. Thanks again for joining me on Thursday for a long 3-hour block, and I look forward to seeing the rest of you around the halls of Hagey Hall or elsewhere at UW.